She-Hulk episode 2, where we found out when they said this, they were really serious.
So what happens on a regular Tuesday when you just have to do laundry? That's really kind of the slice of life that this show kind of explores.
At no point did I think the rampant egotism and man-hating from episode 1 would be a step up. But somehow, the writers have genuinely managed to impress me. Let's get stuck in.
Your ass looks crazy right now.
We start with finding out how She-Hulk dealt with the criminal from the last episode, and it's about as well as you'd expect.
Titania caused panic while fleeing traffic court.
This is a woman who was literally knocked out at the end of the last episode. What, did she punch her into a wall and then just walk off and let her escape? Seriously, love, you're gonna have to step up your game a bit. Jennifer Walters gets identified as the new superhero, which is important, because it looks like she doesn't have anything else in her entire life to occupy her. But next up we get two men talking to each other, and remember, this is written by a bitter middle-aged woman, and so obviously she knows exactly how men talk to each other.
Tell us about what you saw today. This chick, pretty decent.
I see that in news reports all the time, don't you?
Turned into a Hulk, like a chick Hulk. A She-Hulk? Exactly.
That's how she gets her name, everyone, by two people who seemingly have the mental IQ of a chipmunk between them. I mean, I'm not saying She-Hulk is a great name, but it is a derivative name for a derivative character. In other words, you get what you deserve. But to try and make out it was made by two incompetent men with the IQ between them of about 34? No. This is one thing I would have liked to see what the writers came up with as an alternative name, because whatever it was, I guarantee it would have been hilarious. Or what's her new name? Well, I think it should be Empowered Hulk. But we get to a bar and grill because we find out anything about this character, it's that she drinks her own body weight in alcohol because she's a really happy human being who's fully satisfied with her lonely life. We've got two women in their mid-30s who go to drink at a bar alone that absolutely aren't self-inserts from the writers. And they're like, no, I'm not going in there shouting, She-Hulk, She-Hulk, She-Hulk. That absolutely couldn't be for me. That must be for that other Hulk character that everyone knows about, which definitely isn't the Hulk.
No, that's for somebody called She-Hulk, which can't possibly be what they're calling me.
Listen to everybody, name yourself, otherwise somebody else will. I'm actually Warrior Galadriel Hulk. That's what I'm gonna be from now on. Go Amazon! Although if you were wondering what other alternative names they could have come up with, they do give you some options.
Lady Hulk, Girl Hulk, She-Hulk. Come on, give them what they want.
Go in, please the man. At least I can appreciate the two different characters here. You've got one character who's the people pleaser, someone who thinks that people should just be given what they want. And then you've got the other character, who's an entitled, miserable bitch. Although at least this was a fourth wall break that didn't make my cringe muscle explode out of my neck. Largely because she didn't say a word, which quite frankly is one of the upsides of the show. Oh look, it's Captain Bigot on the news interviewing someone else. When won't he have to take responsibility for his actions? That's what I want to know. But in she goes as She-Hulk because she pretended that actually I don't like the name. I don't like all these people cheering for me. Although with very minor convincing, she's fully able to go in and just soak up all of that attention thrown at her. All of the people in the bar are just cheering her on. She-Hulk! She-Hulk. And oh look, we even get a smile. Yeah, I'm gonna pretend I don't like it, but actually, no. When I get all of the attention, suddenly it's a great thing. Couple of drinks, please. Yeah, I'm with She-Hulk over there. If those could be free, that'd be amazing. Don't worry, I've got a fast metabolism. It means I can't get drunk, but I can get hungover. For some reason, that's a positive that no one's quite worked out why yet. Remember that She-Hulk is supposed to be a positive, so what are the positives of the show so far? It seems to be getting drunk and attention. Empowerment!
That name better not stick. So dumb, I can't even exist without being a derivative of the Hulk.
You are a derivative of the Hulk. You were literally created from him with his blood dripping on you. You don't get more basic and derivative than that. And that's not even the She-Hulk's origin story. That's the origin story that you gave to her as your self-insert character. We're going to set her own story and then complain about it in her own show. Empowerment!
The Hulk.
That's a pretty dumb name too.
Yeah, the Hulk is a really dumb name too. He's barely in this episode and we don't want to be a derivative of him, but we should probably get those digs in before he appears, just in case he overshadows us, despite the fact that he's only in it for about 15 seconds. Empowerment! Either way, she continues to drink and her mate goes back to the bar. Again. But look, if your entire worldview is based on the foundation of you being an insecure bigot who isn't living in reality, one thing you do need is a straw man to blame for all your problems, and She-Hulk has that. It's this guy.
But don't you think it's a little unsportsmanlike to suddenly debut superpowers just to drum up publicity for yourself?
Yeah, that's right. He's saying that she literally turned into a green superhero just so she could get more work at a lawyer company. Oh, if only I could become one of the strongest, most invincible people in the world. Someone that could destroy planets just so that I could defend more people with parking tickets. This guy is as laughably unbelievable as he is unrealistic. No, don't worry, I've not created him because I'm just a paranoid lunatic. This actually happens to women all over the world. Look, all I'm saying is if you want to strengthen your argument, can't you use someone who's at least a little bit reasonable?
Only you would think that.
It's unbelievable that even he would think that. That's how insane you've written this.
So, seriously, how did you get these powers?
Seriously? So was the bit before a joke? Look, if we're going to put jokes in our show, can we at least attempt them to be funny so people can tell?
Nepotism. You knew it.
I mean, is he technically wrong? She did get it from her family member simply because she was a family member. Does your genetic code mean it's not nepotism? Honestly, I'm not sure. And just in case you weren't sure yet that this is the straw man of the writer's ex-boyfriend, well, you've got this line.
There's a hot chick over there. I'm gonna go talk to it.
Yeah, talk to it. Look, all I'm saying is you bragged about how all of your writers and people behind the crew and the cast are all women. It may have been a good idea to get a guy on stage just so he could have told you what men speak like, you lunatic.
Some guy just gave me both of these drinks for free because you're a superhero.
Now that's privilege.
Did not go to law school and rack up 6 figures in student loans.
I mean, even if you did, apparently just getting paid off now, so, you know, who cares?
But you could be an Avenger.
Do the Avengers offer healthcare?
Yes.
Maternity leave?
Probably.
Pension?
Yes.
Are they even paid?
Yes. I mean, I know you're asking this question because you're genuinely curious, but yes. Tony Stark is a billionaire. What do you think he's doing with his money? He's literally making people the most advanced technological suits available on the planet for free. Do you think he's not paying for their rent? And if Tony Stark didn't do it, do you think that the entire planet of Earth, which only exists because of the Avengers, isn't just giving them a couple of grand a month to pay for stuff? I mean, seriously, can we just think about our questions for a few seconds before we put them into the script, please? And he's her boss, and I have some questions about what is he doing in this bar? Why is he here? How did he know she was here? And despite what he's here to do, why does he think it needs to be done now? Because obviously he's a bloke, so he's not going to be a good guy in this TV series. It's just weird that he does it in this location. Because he says, Jen, I need to talk to you for a moment, and I can't have you do it in that form. This is a serious conversation. The show tries to make out he's just intimidated by her height. Because as you know, height is something that men really care about. It's not something that men care about simply because women care about it. Oh no, men are the ones that really created that entire thing. This is what I mean about you need some actual men on your staff with testosterone to write for you. But either way, she transforms back into Jen and immediately gets absolutely smashed off her face. No, really, she gets smashed off her face. We've got different metabolisms, you see. That's not how any of this would work. If She-Hulk had a faster metabolism, she would have already metabolized all of the alcohol in your system. So when you transferred back, it wouldn't be there. Look, just shut up and consume. Don't think about any of this stuff. That'll give you a headache. So he says you didn't win the case, and she is very upset about it. Apparently, they declared a mistrial because she saved all of the jury, and that would bias the jury towards her. And for some reason, that means she needs to get fired. She's like, well, what was I supposed to do? Was I meant to let them die? It's like, oh no, you did the exact right thing. It's just that now we have to let you go because you will jeopardize every single future trial, which literally doesn't make sense. I could understand them having a problem if she actually saved individuals from every single trial that was ever supposed to exist in the future. But to just say that she will bias the jury just because she's a good person? That doesn't really say a lot about what people think about lawyers in the real world, does it? Oh, it's like, oh no, juries just aren't biased against lawyers because everyone knows what lawyers really are like. Nice.
Wait, you're firing me?
Yes. I challenge anyone to explain why, though. Cut to credits, because no one can explain the situation of why she just got fired. So there's no reason for it. We're just going to say she got fired and move on as if it's all fine and makes perfect sense. We don't know how to write men. We don't know how to write legal problems. We don't know how to write comedy in this legal comedy. I can't imagine why this show isn't doing amazing. But we cut to her the next morning with a massive hangover where Bruce phones her. I wanted to see if you're okay. I wanted to see if you needed any more help and advice. I mean, you did punch me in the face and thunderclap me almost to death in the last episode for absolutely no reason whatsoever, but I'm a guy and so I still care about you despite the fact that you've been nothing but nasty to me. Of course, we're not going to acknowledge that. So we jump into a weird montage of her getting turned down by various different law firms for a job who all agree with her previous employer. We can't employ someone who's a distraction. We're just not prepared to offer you the position at this time.
Sorry, it's a no.
At least that one was from a type B, so you know, it's fair. We just can't take the risk. Oh no, my life is ruined because of Bruce Banner and what he did to me. I'm still yet to have a decent reason as to why all of these people are turning her down. But don't worry about the logic, it's needed for the show, so just ignore it and carry on with the story. Oh, I'm really depressed and I think I probably need to go to that pub again to drown my sorrows in a massive amount of beer. So a friend is helping a job hunt, and Jen has completely given up on it. Instead, she wants to be a Swiss village mascot. Have you ever wanted to pack up everything and start a new life in a cozy village straight out of a storybook? Now, that dream can become a reality. In an idyllic Swiss hamlet, it's a full-time permanent position and even comes with housing in the town square. Quite frankly, sign me up, guys. I think I'm going to work in Switzerland. I mean, the most unbelievable piece about this page is where at the top it says find Ant-Man, because I think I speak for everyone when I say nobody cares about Ant-Man.
Oh, he's a superhero that can get really small.
Wow, I'm on the edge of my seat. This is also the screenshot that drove Twitter crazy, because on the right-hand side, it says man fights with metal claws in a bar, meaning Wolverine, and why there's a giant statue of a man sticking out of the ocean, referencing the Eternals. This actually got the Eternals trending on Twitter, which I think is quite frankly the most amazing part of the entire episode, that it managed to get the Eternals trending anywhere on Earth. It had the Eternals trending on Twitter with half the amount of tweets of Rings of Power, which if anything I think means that Rings of Power should really be concerned if they're only just doubling the amount of tweets that the Eternals can get. But anyway, we do get the first truth out of She-Hulk herself.
Sorry, I'm sad and lonely.
I mean, you're 36 with no husband, that was kind of expected. The only surprising thing is you don't have any cats. But in true superhero fashion, the one thing that everyone was asking for in this show, she gets a message from her mom saying, "Don't be late for dinner." Quite frankly, I can barely contain my excitement.
Please, 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 please come with me. Can't I have a date?
I'll never forgive you for this.
Your friend wants to be happy and not end up like you. How on earth could you not hold that against them? But either way, Jen goes to her parents' house. She takes some food, which I promise 100% she definitely made herself. She meets her father and her mother.
You know, this much sugar is very bad for you and your waistline.
Her mother immediately speaks sense, but for some reason, we're supposed to think that this is a bad thing. I mean, I'm not going to preach to you how bad sugar is for you, but I do think it's reasonable if your mom does it. But the weirdest thing is her father, who says, "Don't worry, I've told everyone, so none of it needs to be awkward." You're like, okay, so he's told everyone that she's She-Hulk, right? That's the most important thing. Oh no, he's told her she got fired from her job. No one cares at all that she's She-Hulk. Look, I understand they've already been through Hulk before, but don't you think that your sister becoming a superhero might be cause for a discussion? Apparently, not in this house.
No one's going to bring it up.
No one at all is going to bring up you being fired, or you being She-Hulk. Why is no one going to bring up that my sister is now a superhero? And if my sister is a superhero, and her superpowers are genetic, how on earth do I find out as a relative if I have that same genetic trait? Because if I have it, gotta be honest, I'm kind of want to be a superhero. Is it just me? Am I the only one that ask? I don't know, because apparently no one in the family cares. They're not even curious. Either way, we get the family meal. This guy immediately brings up the fact she got fired. No one mentions that she's She-Hulk though, you know, the bigger news.
So Jen, I found out you're not working for your law firm anymore. Oh, and the fact that you're an 8-foot green invincible superhuman? Don't worry about that. That's just a minor thing. You got fired, so let's talk about that.
Come on, writers, let's have a little bit of perspective. But despite the fact that he was told not to bring it up, he thinks, no, I was told to bring it up because, you know, he's a guy. He doesn't have too many brain cells. It's kind of expected. You've got to lay him off.
She already feels like complete crud.
Oh, you see, the men, they've always got to bring up how women feel about things.
Yes, got fired, but it's fine.
The old it's fine, which means it's anything but fine. Obviously, this guy brags about getting promoted the same instant we're talking about someone else getting fired, because that's exactly what you do in any normal human scenario of socialization. Her father starts asking about Hawkeye's arrows and what happens to him. Doesn't go and collect them afterwards. Seriously, I don't know why we care. Is this another Captain America story that they think is really important, which isn't? At this point, I'm losing the will to live more than I would in the actual physical scenario. This episode only goes on for 21 minutes and it feels like a lifetime. Which is more of a danger, the villains in the show or slipping into a coma while watching it? So far, we're yet to be answered, but I'm greatly at risk of the second. Then you've got the couple next to her that want to fix her hair and make it more like She-Hulk's. Gotta be honest, probably a bonus. But overall, for some reason, she's just incredibly annoyed by all of it and she doesn't want to be here, and I've got to be honest, neither does anyone in the audience. I'm sure the writers would say that it's not made for me, and I have to ask, who is it made for? Because quite frankly, at the moment, it's looking like it's made for people who don't have the will to live anymore. In fact, I think the only person it's made for is the literal person who wrote it. The only way I can explain it is the ultimate self-insert. This is her individual life, except now she's big and green. But there is one redeeming quality. Her father says, Jen, before you go, there's a couple of things I could use your help with. He drags her out into the garage, and it turns out he doesn't need her help with anything. He really just wants to check in on her, make sure she's okay. At least the one stereotypical trope that the show didn't play into is bad fathers. I am glad that the show has a good father for her. Is it a minor thing? Yes. Is it still rare in Hollywood today? Extremely. So I have to say, credit where it's due. I am fed up of bad fathers in TV shows. Although Jen is about as helpful as you'd expect.
How you doing, kiddo?
I'm okay.
Really?
No, I'm not okay, but I'm okay with not being okay.
Right.
I'm actually miserable, but I don't want to do any of the work that would fix my life, and so instead, I'm just gonna pretend I'm happy being miserable.
How very 2022 of you. But instead, she finally announces her problem. She's upset that everyone found out she was She-Hulk. She didn't want it to be revealed this way, but, you know, she had to save those pesky plebs, and now she had no other choice. I had to save those people, and now I feel like I'm being punished for what I did. And now she can't even get another job because she saved those people. I admit, not being able to get another job doesn't make any sense, but I'd blame the writers for it, not being She-Hulk. But don't worry, just in case you thought she was actually becoming a good person, no.
Well, maybe I should have just let those people get smushed by that desk.
Sweetheart.
How about no? Do you remember that time in the Avengers where Iron Man was like, actually, maybe I should just let the entire world die just so I could have become a lawyer? Do you remember when superheroes were about self-sacrifice and duty? Doing what was right, doing what you should do because you should do it, not because you wanted to do it or because it benefited you in some way. Oh no, now all that's out the window. Now it's me.
Maybe I should have let him get squished, because now I can't defend people on parking tickets. Aww.
And you didn't destroy a city.
I suppose we should be thankful for small mercies. But a father gives us some good advice. Look, what you were dreading happened, but now you can stand tall. You can move on, you can move past it and become stronger than you were. So what does our hero do in this scenario? She goes back to the bar and drinks. Yeah, if there's one thing I'm certain of, that'll help. But she turns down the next one because, can't really afford it at the moment. I am fired. And along comes the enemy law firm from the case that got her fired, here to offer her a job. You see, we want to open up a superhero division and we want you to lead it.
You got me fired, now you want to hire me.
To be head of a new division, yes.
I accept.
She doesn't even ask for a contract, how much she's getting paid. Look, all I'm saying is maybe the pay gap might be down to negotiation skills. He wants you to lead an entire division and you're not even going to negotiate a little bit? How empowering.
But I will only do it if I can hire my own paralegal.
This is where I realized I liked the other lawyer, because he just gives this response.
I truly do not care who your paralegal is.
He speaks for the entire audience about almost every part of this entire show. What do you think about this element of She-Hulk? I truly do not care. So she's immediately hired, doesn't ask for contracts, doesn't sign anything, doesn't know what wages are. She's in a pub. I'm assuming she gets drunk after this. I don't know. Cut to a big skyscraper where we still don't know how much we're getting paid. She comes in a new suit, and I know it's a new suit because for some reason she can Hulk out in this one without any negative consequences. Most realistic part of the show. So this guy's been hanging around the basement of a lawyer's office because he has absolutely nothing better to do with his day than wait for her. But he explains so many supers have been coming out the woodwork and they're all committing crimes and they need lawyers. So we're setting up a superhuman division that we want you to lead. Or She-Hulk. We only want She-Hulk, not you. Transform into She-Hulk. Now. Honestly, I don't know if he realizes they're exactly the same person. But either way, despite the fact that she's in the same clothes, she transforms. She's lucky she wore that top for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Otherwise, this would probably get banned. Also, CGI, exactly as bad as everyone thought it was in the previous trailers. Yeah, any benefits that happened in the first episode, they're all gone now. They're all gone now. Luckily, not actually something I care about. But he explains they're the first law firm ever to hire a special superhuman division, and she's not happy about it for some reason.
God, is this why they hired me?
Yes, you were hired because you're a superhuman green Hulk woman. You could say you're extremely privileged.
Okay, this sucks. But now everyone around here is gonna think this is the only reason I got the job. It's so unfair.
Is it unfair? Because that is literally the only reason you got the job. He wanted She-Hulk to represent them, so he bought She-Hulk. Yes, She-Hulk is why you got the job. The reason why people will think that is because it's true. I'm sorry if you're upset that you weren't actually hired for your talent. But maybe this is the single best argument in the entire world as to why you should hire people based on quality and merit alone, and not their biological characteristics. Seriously, I'm not sure this scene is putting forward the message that you really intend it to.
I should be able to enjoy it. I just got an amazing new job and I can't.
Yeah, because you were hired based off how you look rather than your merit. I agree, it's a repulsive thing to do. It's exactly why we shouldn't be doing it. Congratulations, She-Hulk. You've finally hit above a good point, even if it's one I don't think you hit upon intentionally.
These dodos never had to deal with this on their first day at work.
It's because they were hired based off their merit, unlike you.
But I'm curious, what do you think about it?
I'm agnostic.
Yeah, when you've not been paying attention, that really is the best thing you can come up with, isn't it? It's almost like you should be paying attention to your job rather than just whining about everything on Earth.
I'll spend the rest of the year worrying about what I just said.
Well, maybe you could concentrate on your job rather than complaining about it for once in your sad little life. Maybe that would avoid these problems. But we get to her office and it's massive and posh and expensive and better than anything she had before. And she has her assistant. This is where she realizes that hiring untalented people that don't deserve the job has its perks.
The only reason they hired me, they wanted a Hulk lawyer. But look at everything it's getting us.
Exactly. Why don't you just sit down and embrace your life of unearned privilege that all of the men have had to work for and earn?
Big ass windows, fully stocked, mini fridge,
Really focusing on life's most important details there.
a desk.
Obviously.
I'm gonna have to buy an entirely new wardrobe just to come to work.
Why don't you have an entirely different wardrobe just to go to work? Doesn't everybody have an entirely different wardrobe just to go to work? Like, seriously, do I look as if I go around wearing suits when I'm not at work? This show is literally based around complaining about standard facts of life that everyone has to go through and just pretending like they're major issues. Tell me you've lived a life of privilege without telling me. But this guy comes around, I don't know whether he's supposed to contrast the weird, creepy lawyer in the other office because he's a weird, creepy lawyer in this office.
I made you guys a welcome basket.
I mean, he brings them stuff, but he's also weird and creepy.
Oh.
That's a sound normally only reserved for puppies. I mean, I would say for babies, but yeah, I don't think the maternal instinct is strong in this one.
A map to the best bathroom for pooping.
That has literally never happened in the entire history of anyone going to work ever in any country in the earth. We're just gonna pretend it's normal, folks. We're just gonna pretend it's normal and pull a weird face. Pull a weird face, yes. Comedy, folks, what can I tell you? It's evolved in 2022. This is female comedy where it's not funny. It's not funny. I don't know what to say.
Thank you.
I'd never thank him for that. But she's in the head guy's office. She gets given a drink, and he's just randomly firing people with as much pain as physically possible for them. It's just so you get the power dynamics, you know? She's the beggar, and he's the person that literally cares about no human being on Earth. Either the writer doesn't live around normal people, or this is just Hollywood. Honestly, either one's perfectly possible. But her first case is Blonsky, the guy who tried to kill the Hulk, and she's not very happy about it. There's a class of interest there. She doesn't think she can do it. But he has got him to sign a paper waiving his rights.
Conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin, Bruce.
And yet the CEO doesn't care. I don't care about conflict of interest, nor does the actual person you're representing. He signed a waiver away. I'm not kidding, this is the story of the episode, and that's why in this episode I drank more than She-Hulk did. She says she's not comfortable taking on the case, and he says basically, if you don't represent the client, you're fired, which, to be honest, seems perfectly reasonable. If someone comes to do a job and then refuses to do the job, you're fully entitled to fire them. And yet, for some reason in this, refusing to do work comes down as him being a bad guy. I don't know. So with that, she goes to meet him where he's in some weird Lego prison. She's not allowed in as She-Hulk because no powers are allowed on the inside, which seems ridiculous because her powers are literally internal to her. I mean, seriously, what are you gonna do? Confiscate them? So once again, she's lucky that she was in a suit which expands and shrinks perfectly, despite the fact that she was broke and couldn't have got that made. She just magically got it made. I don't know, don't ask me. It was never explained. She goes with the security guard who just walks through the lasers. She hesitates before them and then just is told to walk through them as well. Honestly, I'm not walking through any laser grid. I don't care what someone tells me to do. The guy starts giving her instructions. Don't walk up to the glass. Don't go past the yellow line. And she makes a drink about fava beans and a nice Chianti. No, I'm not joking. That's literally the best thing they could come up with. Honestly, it's probably the best joke of the entire episode. And that's because it's not theirs. He asks us to sign a waiver which has clear parts set out on it for signatures. She decides to ignore the places for her signature and just write over the text for some reason that I haven't worked out yet. I mean, seriously, he just gave her an iPad. Couldn't she sign on the right part of the iPad? Some people will say this is being picky. I say this is the basic level of human intellect that I would expect from anyone on Earth. Know where the line is on an iPad. You're not telling me you green screened an iPad. Although thinking about it, given the budgets of TV series and movies nowadays, they may well have actually green screened an iPad rather than just handed her one with a form on it. Yeah, at this point, I'm not sure it's her fault.
In the event of injury or death, indicate who we should notify.
That bad, huh?
I mean, she says that, but then she immediately hands him the pen back and doesn't tell him who to contact. I can literally only take this as the fact that no one would care if she died. Kind of fits with the character. Again, it's a writer self-insert, what can I say? Either way, she meets Abomination. And I have to say, I do like both of these actors. I've seen them both in TV shows separately, and one thing that this show doesn't have, or at least that I'm not going to blame it for, is the quality of these two actors. Any problems that arrive from these two people, I'm going to put down to the writing and not their acting ability. It's what they're given, not what they're capable of, despite the interviews that she's given very recently, which I'm not very keen on. And he plays the exact same character in this as Lie to Me, but I don't care. I just don't care. And I like him from Lie to Me. I enjoyed the series. But Blansky starts saying, I'm a completely different person from Abomination. You won't see Abomination at all. I'm now in control of myself. You know, I was giving a super serum. I was a horrible person back then, but none of it was my fault. He's like, I can turn into Abomination. I just choose not to. I'm Russian born, I'm British raised, I enjoy tea. Obviously, I shouldn't be in prison anymore. Gotta say, he's British, he enjoys tea. It's a convincing argument, apparently. But he says, look, we need to talk about it. I tried to kill Bruce Banner. I tried to kill the Hulk. It wasn't personal. I was told to do it by the military. And she's like, yeah, but you did go on a rampage afterwards, which wasn't sanctioned, which he blames on the serum. Oh, the serum made me do it. The serum controlled me all along, and none of it was my fault. I regret everything. Just let me go. I don't need to be in prison. I know I committed violent crimes. I know I did terrible acts, but I shouldn't be in prison.
I thought I was the good guy.
Are we the baddies? Welcome to the main social message of the show. Actually, criminals deserve a second chance. Look, I know they may be extremely violent criminals that did almost destroy an entire city, but have you considered we should just let them go?
I thought I was going to be Captain America.
Oh, raise my voice, and obviously that means you should just let me go.
Where's the justice in that, Jen?
And that's all it takes. No, I'm not joking. That's the plot. You just run to the prisons and let everyone out because apparently they're sorry. It's not their fault they did the actions which they chose to do. It's just society. Everyone just made them do it.
Parole board's gonna need to know that you feel remorse for your actions.
We need to know that you feel sorry. Can you just please tell us your fifis? That tells us whether we should let the violent criminal go from prison for absolutely no reason whatsoever so we can do it all over again. This might have been one of the most boring episodes of television that I've ever seen, and yet one of the most horrifically messaged. Halo may have been mind-numbingly boring, but it wasn't actively destructive to the very foundation of society. But he does have one killer thing in his back pocket that will inevitably convince everybody that's asked.
I have here various haikus that I've written to each of my victims.
I think we're done here. But with that, She-Hulk's convinced, yeah, I'll think about representing you despite the fact that you tried to kill one of my family members because now apparently you're really sorry and wrote a haiku. No, I'm not joking. This is the plot. So she phones Hulk to tell him that I'm going to represent the guy that literally tried to murder you, and he said, yeah, that's fine. Everyone deserves a second chance. Seriously, this is as realistic as the CGI. This scene goes on for ages and literally tells no one anything except the fact that Jen can't shut up. Bruce Banner keeps trying to interject and talk to her, and she just will not shut up at any second to even let him get a word in edgewise. It's really annoying. But the scene does end with him on a spaceship, presumably hunting down the people that actually ran them off the road in the first place. I'm sure that's not going to cause problems later on. And then she phones her boss to tell him that actually I am going to take the case because even though he is incredibly evil and tried to murder one of my family, everyone deserves a second chance. And at the end of the day, crime isn't the fault of the individual that's doing it. And so we should just let everyone out of prison because I'm sure everyone's going to be given a second chance and become wonderful members of society. No, that's the show.
And I guarantee you are getting my best work.
As opposed to what I was trying to do before, which was just take advantage of your goodwill.
I've already got a winning strategy, 100% in the bag.
Yeah, nothing can go wrong once you've said that, can it? So the boss says, glad to hear it, you should probably go and check the news, and then we get this bit. Oh, it turns out Abomination's broke out of prison and just randomly murdering people again. So much for a winning strategy.
Oh, that sucks.
I mean, we get this little after scene, which is basically her just doing things around the house for her parents, which are all, I really need you to be strong and you're the Hulk. And so can you please do the heavy lifting around the house? You know, stuff that a man would do. And now it is portrayed as if, oh, this is a really horrible thing to do, you know, put her out, take advantage of her. But it's literally stuff that men are expected to do. So quite frankly, I'm not sure what she's concerned about. If the idea is that, oh, men are never asked to do this. No, men are literally designed to do this. This is what equality looks like. Honestly, I'm not really sure what the message is meant to be. I would love to say that the message of this scene is just her finding out what it's like when she's actually being treated as an equal. But given everything else we've seen in the show, I can't say that's what they intended, even if that is probably what they're showing. So overall, what did we get? Well, nothing. I've got to be honest, I don't know anything that happened in this episode. I don't know where we were supposed to be, and I don't know why we were here. And the thing is, this episode was supposed to be their first episode. This is what they thought was their best work, their reason for being, what will immediately hook the fans and get them interested in the series. There was a plan where they started spending a couple of hours getting to know She-Hulk. Gao was fighting tooth and nail, but Feige and other executives told them they had to keep the origin story in episode 1, despite the fact that the origin story initially came in episode 4. This episode, where basically nothing happens, was supposed to be the pilot. This was the hook. This was their best work, and I'm so bored. You got fired, you went to a bar, you got hired, you complained about how lonely you were, and then you started talking about the prison system of America, and during that entire thing, nothing happened! If this was supposed to be your pilot, if this was supposed to be your hook, if this was your fun legal drama, then I do not know where we're going with the rest of the series, because what even is this? How on earth could Kevin Feige or anyone else look at this series and think this is good enough for basic human consumption? I never thought I'd say it, but quite frankly, I preferred episode 1. I would much rather the rampant egotism and man-hating from the first episode. At least that was objectively awful. At least that was something you could laugh at and take the piss out of. At least something happened in the episode. Whereas in this, there's nothing except trying to keep your brain active in some way, shape, and form simply so it continues to make you breathe. I wouldn't even call this entertainment, but this is meant to be a comedy, and the only joke that I can even recall from the entire episode, and I didn't laugh at it, but at least it was recognizably in the form of a joke, was the fava beans and Chianti, and it wasn't even a reference to your own show. Generally, I'd expect more than one joke in a comedy out of 21 minutes, and yet I can't even think of what was meant to be a joke in the rest of it. But the other redeeming feature was that it was only 21 minutes long, and so I didn't have to put up with it for very long. And quite frankly, if that is the best thing that I can say about your episode, probably not the best one. But it does mean that I could actually physically survive it, which is more than I might in the rest of the series. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. More videos like this in the future. Oh, this is going to be an abomination in the future. But hey, let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Unfortunately, I can't believe I'm going to have to do more of this. I will see you in the next one. Oh, bye-bye.